Truth Consulting, synergizing transformation.
Hi, this is Shirish Kulkarni, representing HATKE platform as a part of STROTA Consulting, and I've been running this initiative called as HATKE interviews, talking to various individuals, various personalities, various professionals who have done in a different way, things thought in a different way, achieved their goals in life, and actually led from front for others to follow as role model. And we have a great honor to have Dr. Vidya Yerwadkar, who is a pro-chancellor of Symbiosis International University and principal director of Symbiosis. It's great to have you, Vidya ji, with us.
Thank you so much, Shirish. Thank you for inviting
Right.
me.
And with the kind of stature that you have with this international university being formed, you yourself being a PhD into international education and taking the heritage from the great Mujumdar sir down here with his dream coming true, and now the university expanding in the form of innovation and entrepreneurship, having that focus with 30 companies already been incubation and going strong onto that. I think it is a remarkable feat to achieve at what you are doing. So great honors and respects to you, Vijay.
Thank you, Shirish.
Right. So as we are speaking about something which is absolutely differentiated, and it all started, I believe, with a thought in Mujumdar sir's mind, right? To have something which might not be a university, but something which actually could drive education. So maybe we would like to know a little bit about that story, how it started, and where are you seeing it right now?
Yes, Shirish, actually Symbiosis, almost every institution of Symbiosis and Symbiosis itself started with some inspiring story. And 50 years ago in 1971, when Dr. Mujumdar sir was a professor of botany in Ferguson College, he was also the rector of the boys' hostel. And I am his daughter, so our bungalow was right opposite the boys' hostel because, the wardens' bungalows were generally very close to the hostels. And it was Diwali vacation, and I still remember my father was intrigued by a very particular incident that happened where he would see a young girl who would come up to the boys' hostel and stand underneath a window and pass something through the window to her probably so-called boyfriend. And this happened almost every day, and my father would see it, and then he realized that probably he thought that some affair was going on. And in 70s, it was a very orthodox society in Pune. And therefore, he went into the hostel room, knocked the door, and when he went inside, he saw a boy who was lying on bed. And when he started scolding him, saying that who's this girl and why does she come to the window every day, he started crying. And he said, "Sir, I'm a student of from Mauritius, and I'm suffering from jaundice. All my batchmates have gone back home for Diwali, and there's no one to take care of me. So she's my sister who cooks some food in her hostel room and gets the tiffin and passes the tiffin through the window because girls are not allowed to enter the boys' hostel." And this one incident changed my father's life. And, he decided to do something for foreign students. And he started interviewing foreign students who were studying in various colleges in Pune city. And he realized that there were so many Africans, there were so many students from Iran, from the Gulf region, from Southeast Asia, from Thailand. There were so many monks studying in Pune University. And when he started interviewing them, he realized that they carry more of ill will than really goodwill of the city. And so he thought that something needs to be done. And we need to sensitize at least the Pune citizens that these are like unofficial ambassadors of goodwill. And when they go back home, they will assume top positions. And if they are going to carry a bad story with them, things are not going to be good for our city nor for our country. So while during the interviews, they appreciated the education that Indian colleges and universities provided, but they said that we feel discriminated. And surprisingly, the Black Africans felt, and stories that they told was that if a seat next to them is vacant in a bus, nobody would want to come and sit because we are Black. They would say that, boys and girls would close their windows early morning because they didn't want to see Black faces. early morning. So these were horrendous stories, and my father felt that we certainly need to do something about it. And he started publishing these interviews in the Marathi newspaper called Kesari,
Mhm.
and just to sensitize Pune citizens and telling them that these are not, these are young men and women who come from far away places, and we need to take care of them. But that wasn't enough, and he felt that there needs to be an organization that will take care of the welfare of foreign students. And therefore, he established Symbiosis right in our house, with a few of his students, I would say, from Ferguson College and few friends. And he termed the name Symbiosis because it's a botanical word, which means living together of two
Right.
different organisms for their mutual benefit. So he believed that Indian and foreign students should live together, should laugh together, should play together, should learn together in a very symbiotic relationship to promote international understanding and brotherhood. And the large motto that he gave to this organization was Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world
Mhm.
is one family. He believed that, the world should be one big family. And I feel that this is so true in the present times, which he thought of 50 years ago, which is actually coming to reality, where geographical boundaries have become notional. People and nations have started coming together. And look at this pandemic, which has taught us so much, that it's more of interdependence, more of symbiotic relationships, more of coming together and collaborations that is really going to help us tide over this pandemic and not really working in silos. And therefore, I think the importance of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which our saints and sages first prescribed
True.
thousands of years ago, is so very true for the whole world. And I'm glad Symbiosis started with this great mission and will continue with this great mission for thousands of years, henceforth.
Amazing. I think that that is really indeed an inspirational story, as well as something that we can look at in our common lives as something to follow. Now, thinking about how entrepreneurship becomes a major DNA of Symbiosis moving forward. 11 year back itself, a course which is focused on innovation and entrepreneurship was started, and you seeing that it is converted into an incubation center 4 years back, and maybe 30 odd businesses are already getting incubated. So how is that? Is it something that to do with more of education and academia and industry being together? There is a link which is the incubator. Is that something, or you're nurturing the youth to be actually more ambitious, or nurturing their new ideas to be converted into business? So maybe a thought on that. It's really remarkable to see this success.
Yeah, sure. Shirish, actually, entrepreneurship, I would say, is one of the DNAs of Symbiosis, because Dr. Mujumdar was also an educational entrepreneur. Nobody would dare to start an educational institution 50 years ago with this whole belief that, bringing foreign and Indian students together for a larger period of time would be only through education. And that's what he believed, that, if for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, if we need these young minds to be together, they have to be together on university and college campuses. And that's how this whole concept of education entrepreneurship started. And then, of course, if you look at every institution of Symbiosis, it's almost like, startups on the Symbiosis campus. So whether it was a SIBM that he launched in 1978 or a law school that he launched in 1977, he came up with a brilliant idea, or someone else gave him an idea and he launched it. I'd like to give you a story of a very discrete institution that is not really much talked about, the Symbiosis Institute of Telecom Management. Now, of course,
Mm.
Christian, the new name is Symbiosis Institute of Digital Telecom Management. The then BSNL director, whoever he was, I would say 20 years ago, I'm talking about this
Mm.
story, came to Mujumdar sir and said that, sir, you have so many management institutions, but you really don't have a focused institution for telecom. And at that time, there were no mobile phones, nothing, there were just telephones in our houses. But he predicted, this gentleman predicted that telecom management has a great future because mobile phones will come in, the telecom will move into a more digital space and communication will be, through telecom and obviously the digital mode. And therefore, why can't Symbiosis start such an institution? And, Dr. Muzumdar is a risk taker. So this entrepreneurship bug, as we call it amongst ourselves, and even I am one, because if I don't start institutions every year, I feel very restless. So you need to be a risk taker to even try out new things given by ideas given by someone else, not just generated by your own self. And there we started the Symbiosis Institute of Telecom Management, and it's like one of the best telecom institutions in the country. So I think entrepreneurship is something that you need to, of course, ideate. If you can't ideate, take someone else's idea and create something, and give the credit to that person. And third is you have to put in a lot of hard work, commitment, and so on. And this is the spirit that we've been telling our students all the while. If you look at Symbiosis, we've had excellent placements, top ranking business houses coming to our campuses, on campus placements. So, the business is doing extremely well. But what we also realize is that while students are more than happy to get placed in top-notch companies, within a span of, say, I would say an average of 8 to 10 years, many of them become entrepreneurs because, that spirit of entrepreneurship is something that we've nurtured while they were in our college or while they were in our institution. So we said, why not start a whole program called MBA in Innovation and Entrepreneurship? The differentiator of this program is that we tell the students on day zero when they take admission that you will not sit for placements. If you're willing to take a risk, spend 2 years, doing an MBA program without getting placed, then join the program. And you will be surprised, Shirish, that thousands of applications for just 60 seats. And the way these students work hard, they create their startups. And obviously a natural fallout of that was to establish an incubator on campus, which is the Symbiosis Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation, a technology business incubator supported by the Department of Science and Technology with a grant. And I'm very happy that there are 30 startups already incubated on various areas, on edutech, on e-commerce, fintech, and now the focus is health tech. So we're looking at, a conglomeration of health and technology because that's something that will be required, now, not only because of the pandemic, but certainly in years to come.
Amazing. I think it takes me back around 7-8 years when I was a visiting professor of innovation and entrepreneurship, and contributing for what we have learned from corporate and the connects that we have back to really get to teach them of how ideation can happen, how screening can happen, how business plans are being created, how finally that goes to the market and how we can get that funding and make that business scale up to real size business of operations. I think it's a remarkable thing to achieve that. As we are speaking about ideation to realization, another thought that came to my mind about this initiative by TCS called as TCS Sustainathon, which is focused on waste management and ideation by students of Pune. Would like to definitely quickly hear also about the Waste Resource Management Center that Symbiosis has, which is another remarkable division to have. And how was the genesis and how it is relating with some success stories that you have about zero waste, wealth to waste to wealth initiatives that you have.
So Shirish, actually, I'm very happy that TCS decided to launch this TCS Sustainathon, and I'm also happy that Dinanath, nominated me on the steering committee because this is a subject close to my heart. And at Symbiosis, if you walk in any time on any campus of Symbiosis, you will see these campuses very clean because that's something as a hallmark of Symbiosis. And let me tell you that whenever we visit campuses, I think that what I first do is walk into the toilets to see if they are clean. And I believe that when the toilets are clean, then you don't have to go and see, other places. But more importantly, considering waste as wealth is something that, we've been taught by our ancestors, by our grandmothers, grandparents. And in our own households, how well we used to manage, the waste that came out of whatever we ate or, whatever we did in the household and managed it so well. But over the years, I think things have declined and we feel ashamed that our nation is considered as a not very clean nation. We feel ashamed when foreigners walk, on the streets of even a city like Pune or any other, big cosmopolitan city. But still, it's not as clean as what it should be. And therefore, I think I'm happy that, the corporates like TCS are coming forward to instill this amongst young people, because I always say and use this phrase called catch them young, because I believe that whatever you do at the school level or the college level, that remains as a habit for your life, and therefore you need to instill those kind of habits in young children. And therefore, we started the Symbiosis Center for Waste Resource Management, and we don't call it a Symbiosis Center for Waste Management. We call it as a Symbiosis Center for Waste Resource Management, because we believe that waste can be converted to wealth. So our first objective was zero waste. And therefore, first, in all our hostels and dining halls, we put up big posters of, telling students, giving awareness programs of reducing, food waste. So take as much as you want. We created large bins where they have to actually go and clean their plates so that they themselves feel ashamed of, not having consumed as much food as they have taken themselves. So all those things we do. Apart from that, the food waste is converted into biogas by biogas plants, and students actually see the biogas being generated and used, for purposes of chapati making or whatever, boiling water and all that, those kind of things. Apart from this, there is another project called Nisarga Lakshmi, where manure or khat is produced again by segregating the waste and actually using this waste to create this khat. And we've done this even at the school level, where school children go and teach their their parents, and in fact get the food, the waste from their households to the school. And help us in creating this Nisarga Lakshmi by dirtying their own hands. And then we give this packet of khat to them to obviously give them to the parents to use it for their gardens and household plants and so on. So something that we want to instill amongst them, so that they learn this. Now, from zero waste to managing the creating wealth. So as I said, we have this incubator, and I'm glad that a lot of focus is on waste management and creating wealth from waste. One such company that I would like to make a special mention of is by our student of MBA Innovation Entrepreneurship, where it's called Evervo. Basically, he produces agriculture products through the waste that is generated out of the our dining halls and mess, where part of it goes to create a biogas, and whatever remains as slurry is what he uses to produce the agriculture produce. And therefore, I think such kind of experiments on the university campus will help us build a very sustainable environment. And if you look at sustainability, it's not something that is just spoken about and mentioned in by the United Nations as SDG goals, but really for each one of us to look at it in a more simple way, in a more day-to-day affair, where how can we actually instill this whole concept of sustainability amongst all these young men and women who are there on the university campus. And talking about sustainability, sorry to switch over, Shirish, into something else. If you come and see our beautiful 350 acres campus, I would say it's one of the most sustainable campuses in the country. And I would very boldly say this because, I've been there right from scratch, so from the time we started building it. So if you look at our buildings, they're created of bricks, where the bricks were made on the campus out of the earth that was dug, during construction. We've done rainwater harvesting. And if you look at, we've created two huge Pazar talavs out of the rainwater that comes down, and also the water that gets pulled from the neighboring river, so that there is almost, I think, 300 million liters of water that is there for us, which will suffice our hostels for at least 6 months, even if there is a drought. So those kind of sustainability efforts that we make. Again, I spoke about biogas. I would also like to talk about, the sanitation part, the waste that comes out of the water. The water is actually, again, recirculated through the reed beds, and then the purified water, the relatively purified water is used for gardening, for our lawns, for our, watering the trees and so on. So we've really tried to create such a wonderful, sustainable environment. And again, we use bicycles. So it's a no vehicle campus. So we have hostels and, academic blocks and mess. So students either walk or bike. We don't allow them to use vehicles at all. So, this was so well appreciated by the Swiss government, because there was a delegation that actually came to PMRDA, and the commissioner of PMRDA sent them to Symbiosis to see what we do, that we are now going to apply for a certification which the Switzerland government actually gives, which is called 2000 watts certification, where they believe that every individual should consume not more than 2000 watts of energy. And they felt that, at Symbiosis, we are actually reducing much lesser. I mean, we are using much lesser, and a wonderful sustainable campus that we've created. So we are hoping to get that certification very soon.
Wonderful. I think it's a great example where sustainability becomes a part of DNA and builds itself as we move ahead. Taking back ourselves back, 1.5, 2 years back when pandemic hit, and as we were talking about in Symbiosis, many things have happened. We call them as, looking back, maybe incident, maybe coincidence or accidents, but I believe there are no accidents. Like the good thoughts cultivated in minds with conviction definitely make it to the reality. So in September, you saw a specific hospital being already constructed, right? So maybe you can highlight that incidence in more details.
So, Shirish, as I told you that, Symbiosis institutions, many of them have been born out of incidences or stories or whatever you call them. And one such wonderful institution that came up was the Symbiosis Medical College for Women and the Symbiosis University Hospital and Research Center. So about 8 years ago, Rajiv and me, my husband and me, decided that we are both of us are medical doctors actually. So we are MD gynacs, but of course now I'm into education. But when we visited the villages around our university campus here at Lovely, and we realized that there's so many villages that do not even have the primary healthcare being available to the villagers. And we felt that, what are we really doing to the neighborhood of our university campus? Rajiv is the Dean of the Faculty of Health Sciences. And so he said that, Vidya, we really need to do something in healthcare around this campus, because it's not fair that we take care of the health of our students and staff, but not of our neighborhood. So we should do something for our community. And that's where we established a Symbiosis Community Outreach Program in the 22 villages that we've adopted in the neighborhood of our university here. And you'll be surprised to know, Shirish, that many of these villages do not even have a primary healthcare facility available. Of course, government primary health centers are there. There are about 4 to 5 such PHCs. But the state of PHCs in our state and in our country. Actually even having a primary healthcare by a private practitioner was not seen. And so what we decided was that let us have mobile health clinics. So we call them mobile medical units that go into these 22 villages. And every day you'll be surprised to see that the mobile medical unit, which also has a doctor, a nurse, and a medical social worker, the mobile clinic stops at near the temple or at the nukkad of any small wadi or village, and people have lined up already to take healthcare facilities that we provide through OPD treatment and so on. So this we've been doing for the last 8 years, and then we thought that let us create a hospital, a small hospital of about 100 beds to cater to these villagers, because the closest hospital at that time was, or even today, or before we started our hospital, was about 20 kilometers from this place. And we felt that for any kind of emergencies or any treatment that they wanted, there was no tertiary care, healthcare facility available. So while we were constructing this 100-bedded hospital, Dr. Mujumdar sir went and saw this movie called Anandi Gopal. I'm sure many of you have seen this. It is on the first lady physician of India. And when he came back, as I told you, every Symbiosis institution is an inspiration through some story. So when he came back home, he called me and Rajiv at almost 11 p.m. in the night. And he said that Symbiosis should start a medical college for girls. And I was shocked, I was taken aback. And I said, medical colleges are not like management institutions that you start them overnight. You have a classroom and a computer lab and a little bit of office space, and you can start a business school if you have good faculty and so on. But a medical college needs a hospital, you need so many doctors and teachers and nurses, and it's an absolutely complex affair. And Rajiv was on the Medical Council of India on the board of governors, and he had seen from within. So he knew all the laws, and he said that it's not as easy. But Dr. Mujumdar is, an optimist always. And, once he decides something, it has to happen. So he said, don't tell me the challenges, tell me how you will do it. And then we worked almost 24/7. Fortunately, being doctors, we had a lot of our doctor colleagues and friends who helped us. even people in the MCI who told us what the laws are, and how we should expand this just being constructed 100-bedded hospital to a 900-bedded hospital that we created within a span of 6 to 7 months. You won't believe it. We created a medical college, which is state of the art, with a 900-bedded hospital, which we run totally free. It's not just these villages of these 22 villages, but I think the whole of Maharashtra that takes the services, with excellent doctors, nursing professionals, other healthcare professionals, excellent faculty that we got. And as Mujumdar sir very rightly said, that if you have a great mission, people will just support you. And that's exactly what happened. And I'll also like to tell you, Shirish, that we had established an engineering college in 2008. And the land next to the engineering college, I had kept it vacant. It was almost 40 acres of land that I had always kept it vacant. And I always had this in mind that if at all, whenever Symbiosis decides to start a medical college, it has to be next to the engineering college, because health and technology, unless they marry each other, innovations and inventions will never happen, which will be actually for supporting the society. And I'd seen this in 2010 when I had visited MIT and Harvard, and I saw this whole health science technology, center there, where how MIT and Harvard come together, and they've done such wonderful innovations in healthcare. And I had decided this, and I'm so happy that the medical school and the engineering school, the School of Biological Sciences, the nursing, the other health sciences institution, and the incubator is all co-located in this huge 80 acres of the foothills of Symbiosis International University, which I proudly call as the Health Science Technology Park of Symbiosis. And I'm glad that on the Engineers Day, just 3-4 days back, Dr. Mashalkar came and saw this, and we got a lot of applause from him and appreciation. And I think, the new story of Symbiosis is going to be in health science and technology.
Right. I think it is definitely a great vision to think about such things, and also a great achievement to really make it happen, to really see this circle getting completed in the form of not only health, but science, technology coming together and being co-located. This is remarkable. I believe I will just go back when I was around 1 year back, when there was a hit on the COVID side. I did see Symbiosis having that hospital, and those beds were provided. So
Yes,
I think
Shirish, we treated more than 5,500 COVID patients,
right.
and with the lowest mortality, at least in Pune city. And I must say that our doctors and nurses worked very, very hard, and I'm very happy that now we are actually creating, I should mention this, that we have created a telemedicine facility. So we can give consultation through telemedicine. We've also created a kind of a virtual hospital where post-COVID treatment is given to patients who've been treated by us, so that any post-COVID consultation is also given free to the patient. So a lot of digitalization in healthcare is what we are trying to use.
Super. Now, switching to a little bit more on personal side, looking at this whole complex environment of a university, having so many things to be done, so many things to be taken care, and so many responsibilities, so many meetings to attend, and time management to be done. What keeps you so much energized and positive and optimistic? Is the question I would like to ask.
One is, Shirish, being in an environment with youngsters keeps you young. So, of course, now there are not many students on campus, but nevertheless, over the years, we have so many students that really keep you charged and give us the energy. The second is, of course, you need to have a planned day. And I think exercise and fitness is something that we are very, very particular about, because unless you take care of your health and, are fit enough to, do your work and work as hard, you won't get success to any organization that you work for. I think my medical stint has given me that one little edge. I would say that, as doctors, we are so used to working for 18 hours, 20 hours,
Right.
and therefore there's no fatigue. So I think that's something that has really helped me in my life, being a medico myself. And last but not the least, Dr. Mujumdar, who's such a great inspiration, that at 86, he still comes to office. He works as hard as all of us, and is always with new ideas. So we have to constantly be on our toes to look at what next in Symbiosis, so that's something that also keeps all of us going. So I think, that's a great blessing that all of us at Symbiosis have.
Maybe next question would be, having achieved so many things, and you would definitely have some more dreams in your mind. So looking back, do you think of something that, yes, I want to definitely achieve this going forward?
Yes, moving forward, Shirish, I think Symbiosis is seen as, as we talk about the three avatars. The initial avatar was, as Dr. Mujumdar, again in his own words, I would like to say, is the cultural avatar, where he established just a international cultural center for foreign students. After that, of course, in 2002, we got the deemed university status. And before that also, he had started a lot of educational institutions. So that period was the educational avatar. And now it's the avatar is the health avatar, the third avatar. So when I envision this whole health science technology park that I'm talking about, I mean, that's my new vision for Symbiosis, that the focus on technology, the focus on healthcare, the focus on innovation and entrepreneurship, and how all this can come together to have all these startups and which grow into large companies on the university campus, where young students actually learn how to do things and how to become entrepreneurs and how to also start companies that actually have an application to the needs of the society. Otherwise it makes no sense to just to start how to do research so that it's applicable. You call a translational research, which again is applicable to the common man on the street. So these are things that we now look at. And I'm sure Symbiosis over the next, and we are celebrating a golden jubilee year. So, the years after this will be years of this whole health science technology park that we envision.
I think that's really wonderful to see that you have a vision of health science technology center like MIT's and any of the state of the art kind of universities out. It's great to see that it is happening now. Thinking about this current situation, the third wave for pandemic might come, might not come. But there are some individuals who are fickle-minded, not as strong as they are. So, do you have a message for them?
I think, this pandemic has really taught us so many things. I mean, I don't want to enumerate all those, but certainly of introspection, one. And second is also to live in this new normal. Like you and I are now chatting like this, we would have wasted so much time for you to travel all the way to Lovely, to this campus, and then, spending so much time. So you can do it so well online. So a whole new digital world that we see now. Yes, people do talk about a third wave and so on and so forth. But now I'm an optimist, and I always feel that with these two vaccines, and I think people should take the vaccine. India and especially Pune city, I suppose, is doing very well in the vaccination drive. So with the two vaccines, and of course of all the safety measures that we take, mask ourselves, wash our hands, and maintain social distance, this pandemic, even if it stays, doesn't really matter. So, waves only come in when people don't, obey the safety measures, is what they did when the second wave actually happened. But now we all know, how to function in this new normal. We are not as complacent or as anxious, I would say, as what we were in 2020. We are much well educated about this disease, and it will soon die its own death, and probably even continue as an endemic. And then, like any other flu, there will be one COVID flu that people may have, and it really won't matter to anybody. So
Wonderful.
I'm sure we'll pass through this, this phase of darkness, because every cloud has a silver lining. And I always believe that, things are going to come back to a new normal, which will be our normal in the next years to come.
Right. I think that's a great positive note to close this discussion. It was wonderful and insightful, Vidyaji, to talk to you, and our best wishes for Symbiosis to really grow as Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, as it is said, and grow to the horizons that you desire. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shirish. Thank you very much.
बिजनेस कोई भी हो, सक्सेस की नींव हम रखते हैं।
बुलंदियों को छूने की आपके अरमानों की उम्मीद जगाती जोत है, हर सपनों का हम स्रोत है।
सही स्ट्रेटेजी, परफेक्ट डिसीजन मेकिंग और बिजनेस ग्रोथ के लिए हम आपके साथ कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर आपकी स्वप्न पूर्ति करते हैं। STROTA Consultech, synergizing transformation.